Welcome to the deep dive. We take stacks of sources, boil them down, and basically give you a shortcut to being really well informed. Today, we're doing something a bit different, actually, a journey back in time. We're diving into parts of an ancient text called VAGGA VII. It's a collection of these inspired sayings, udanas they're called. So our mission, really, is to unpack some pretty profound, sometimes honestly surprising observations attributed to the Buddha. Try to imagine being there, With the monks, seeing everyday stuff spark these deep thoughts. It's not just history class. It's more like a guide to understanding ourselves, the path to, well, liberation. Expect some real aha moments.
Exactly. And what's so striking, I think, is how these short utterances, the udanas, they just nail the essence of these huge spiritual truths, but they come from really specific, almost mundane situations. We'll be looking at how the Buddha's observations of actual people, actual events in ancient India led to this timeless wisdom about, attachment, freedom, what real inner peace is about.
Okay, so let's jump right in. The first story is really about perception, isn't it? And this amazing inner shift. Our sources introduce us to a monk, Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya. And we're told that the famous Sariputta was teaching him, giving him a discourse on the Dhamma in various ways. Standard stuff, you'd think. But as Sariputta was speaking, something clicked for Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya. His mind was liberated from the defilements through non-clinging. Just like that.
Right. And the crucial part here is that the Buddha himself saw this. He perceived this inner event happening. And knowing what had just occurred, he came out with this inspired verse, this udana, about Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya's state. It goes, "Released above, below, and everywhere, not looking back at I am this, thus released, he crossed the flood, uncrossed before, for no more rebirth."
Yeah. I mean, that just perfectly captures final liberation, doesn't it? Crossing the flood, no coming back.
It really does. But here's where it gets, well, really interesting for me. The sources say Sariputta didn't realize what had happened. He still saw Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya as a sekha. Yeah, someone still training, right, still on the path, maybe got some work to do, not fully enlightened yet in Sariputta's eyes.
Exactly. So Sariputta actually starts instructing him even more intensely.
And again, the Buddha observes this dynamic. He knows the deeper truth. So he offers another udana. He cut the cycle, went beyond desire. The dried up stream does not flow. The broken cycle does not turn. This is the end of suffering.
Wow.
It just underlines that, yep, Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya had actually made it, reached the goal, even if this other really senior monk hadn't quite seen it yet. That drying up of the stream, such a powerful image for craving, just stopping.
Okay, so that's liberation for one person. But what about, society as a whole? When everyone seems caught up, the sources shift focus then to Savatthi. And the vibe there was apparently quite different. The Buddha was staying nearby, and it seems the people there were, well, the text says, for the most part, excessively attached to sensual pleasures, infatuated, greedy, obsessed, and lost in them.
Which really makes you ask, okay, so what happens then? What's the result of that kind of deep collective attachment? Some monks actually recorded this back to the Buddha. People here are really caught up. And his response. Another udana, a direct warning about the danger. Those attached to sensual pleasures, entangled in desires, not seeing the danger in fetters, can never cross the great vast flood of fetters and attachments.
Such a strong image, being trapped in a flood like that, almost like quicksand. And the Buddha didn't just hear about it, he saw it himself when he went into Savatthi for alms. He saw people blinded by desires, enmeshed in a net, covered by the veil of craving, bound by the bond of negligence.
Sounds pretty dire. And to really drive the point home, he used this really stark analogy in his udana. He said, they go to old age and death like fish in the mouth of a net, like a calf suckling its mother. Yeah, it's this image of being just pulled along inevitably towards suffering. Like the calf can't help but go to the milk, even if it leads somewhere bad, or the fish swims right into the trap. It's a warning that feels, well, pretty relevant today, too, about how easily we can get hooked by things, right?
Absolutely. That lure of desire. Okay, so let's circle back to Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya. Remember him?
The monk Sariputta underestimated.
That's the one. He shows up again, and this time it's a huge lesson about judging books by their covers, essentially.
Yeah.
Before says he was walking behind some other monks, and he's described as unattractive, hard to look at, disheveled, and generally looked down upon by the monks. Pretty harsh.
Yeah, not exactly painting a flattering picture, but here comes the Buddha's insight again, cutting right through that. He actually calls the other monks over, points to Lakuṇṭakabhaddiya, and says directly, "This monks, is mighty and powerful. Imagine their surprise." He continues, and such an attainment is not easily found, which this monk has not attained before, for the sake of which young men rightly go forth. That supreme culmination of the holy life, he abides in it in this very life.
So basically, despite looking, disheveled and unremarkable, the Buddha is saying, this guy, he's achieved the ultimate goal, the very reason people become monks. And seeing this whole situation, the Buddha then gives another udana. Unfettered, with a white canopy, a single chariot rolls on. Behold him coming, unagitated, with cut-off stream, unbound.
It's just such a powerful counterpoint to the earlier description. It hammers home that fundamental truth. Real spiritual worth, real power, it's internal. It's about liberation, not looks or status. That white canopy, the single chariot, classic symbols for purity, for the enlightened path, totally undisturbed by what the world thinks.
Yeah, it really makes you stop and think about your own judgments, doesn't it? How often do we miss the mighty and powerful because we're stuck on the surface?
All the time, probably. We size people up so quickly based on externals.
Okay, so the deep dive keeps going. We get 3 more quick stories, like little snapshots focusing on other monks meditating. Each gives a slightly different angle on liberation. First up is Aññātakoṇḍañño. He's meditating, and he's specifically reflecting on liberation through the destruction of craving.
And the Buddha sees this inner reflection, and the udana for this one is quite poetic. He whose root is not in the ground, nor leaves, where from the creeper, that wise one, freed from bonds, who can blame him? Even gods praise him, and Brahma, too, praises him.
Rootless. That's interesting imagery.
It really is. If craving is the root, the thing that ties us here, makes us grow back again and again like a creeper.
Then destroying that root means
You're free. No ground to cling to, no way for the creeper of existence to go back. It's a state beyond blame, so pure even the highest gods admire it. It's about severing that fundamental dependency.
Okay. Then we get a glimpse into the Buddha's own state of mind. He's observed reflecting on the abandoning of mental proliferation and conceptualization.
Right. Which sounds pretty advanced.
It does. What exactly is mental proliferation? Is that just like overthinking?
Sort of, yeah. It's that constant churn of thoughts, the mind just endlessly spinning out ideas, narratives, worries, plans, papanyaka in Pali, that inner chatterbox.
Got it. And conceptualization.
That's about how we build our reality through labels and ideas. We don't just see a tree, we think, tree, big tree, my tree, useful tree. We layer concepts over a direct experience.
So the Buddha was reflecting on letting go of all that. The chatter and the labels.
Exactly. Quieting the inner monologue, dissolving those conceptual filters to just be with pure awareness. And his udana reflects how subtle this is. He for whom proliferation and standing are not, who has transcended attachments and barriers him, the untainted sage who wanders, even the world with its gods does not discern.
Wow, so deep it's basically imperceptible to others, even gods.
That's the idea. A quiet majesty in that level of realization, a peace beyond our usual grasp.
Okay, and the third snapshot. Mahakakano. He's meditating with mindfulness of the body well established internally.
So focused on physical sensations, presumably. And the question is, how does that lead to liberation? Seems quite grounded. The Buddha's udana explains the mechanism. He who has mindfulness of the body always present. It was not, it will not be, nor will it belong to me. Such a one, abiding by degrees, in time, will cross the entanglement.
So it's about seeing the body through mindfulness as impermanent, not really me or mine.
Precisely. That constant mindful observation reveals the transient, impersonal nature of the body, and by extension, all experience. It's not some abstract philosophy, it's a practical tool. By seeing it was not, it will not be, nor will it belong to me, you gradually untangle yourself from the knots of attachment. Step by step, by degrees, you cross the flood.
That feels very practical, actually. Less mystical, more like a technique.
It is. Mindfulness is a direct path to insight and release.
All right, shifting gears a bit. Our next nugget takes us to a village called Thuna, belongs to the Malin clan, who were Brahmins. And something quite dramatic happens with a well. The Buddha arrives with a large group of monks. And the locals, these Brahmins and householders, they apparently weren't too happy to see them.
No, they weren't. The text says they didn't want the shaven-headed ascetics using their water.
So what did they do?
They filled the village well to the brim with grass and chaff. Basically, they sabotaged it, made it unusable.
That's pretty hostile.
Definitely an act of aggression. So the Buddha turns to his attendant, Ananda, and just asks him to go get water from that exact well.
It's full of grass and stuff.
Right. Ananda points this out. Lord, they filled it with grass and chaff. The water's ruined.
Makes sense.
But the Buddha just asks him again. And then a third time. Just calmly insists.
So Ananda eventually goes.
He does. And here's the aha moment, or maybe the whoa moment. As Ananda gets near the well, the source says, all that grass and chaff overflowed from its mouth, and the well stood overflowing with clear, calm, very clean water.
Seriously. Like a miracle.
Seems like it. A spontaneous purification. Ananda was, quite rightly, amazed.
I bet.
But then the Buddha utters the Udana, and it connects this very literal miracle to a much deeper spiritual point. He says, what use is a well if there are waters always? Having cut off craving at the root, what should one seek?
Okay, unpack that. If there are waters always, like if you have inner abundance.
That seems to be the implication. If you've dealt with the root issue craving, then external needs, like needing water from a specific well, become sort of secondary. Or maybe it suggests that true, unfailing abundance isn't found outside, but within, once that fundamental thirst of craving is gone. Why search frantically outside when the source is within you?
That shifts the focus entirely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
From fixing the external problem to dissolving the inner need. They're fascinating. Okay, our final story for this deep dive. It starts with a real tragedy. We're in Kosambi. King Udina's harem catches fire while he's out. And 500 women, led by Queen Samavati, they all died in the fire.
That's horrific. And understandably, the monks were disturbed. They came to the Buddha asking about the fate of these women who were lay followers. It raises that difficult question, right? What happens spiritually if you die suddenly, violently, tragically? Does it derail everything?
Yeah, a really important question. And the Buddha's answer was actually quite comforting. He told the monks that among those women, some were stream enterers, already guaranteed liberation eventually. Some were once returners, meaning only one more life before liberation.
Right.
And some were non-returners, who wouldn't be reborn in the human realm again, but would attain liberation from a higher realm. So he concluded, essentially, that all those female lay followers died with fruit. Their spiritual practice hadn't been in vain. They'd achieved significant progress.
That's incredibly significant. It shows that the inner attainment, the fruit of practice, holds true even when faced with a terrible external event like that fire. Your future state is secured by your inner work.
Exactly. And knowing this, knowing their positive outcomes despite the tragedy, the Buddha gave the final Udana in this collection. Bound by delusion is the world. It seems capable of being bound. The foolish one, bound by clinging, enveloped in darkness, is consumed as if by a snare. For one who sees, there is nothing.
What a powerful contrast. It juxtaposes the ordinary world, trapped by delusion, clinging, darkness consumed, like being caught in a snare.
Like the fish in the earlier story.
Exactly. It contrasts that with the perspective of the enlightened one, the one who sees. For that person, the bonds, the snares, the delusions, they just aren't there. There's nothing binding them. Liberation means seeing through the illusion of the trap.
So even in the face of death and fire, the seeing mind finds freedom.
That's the profound message. The ultimate security isn't in avoiding external disaster, but in cultivating that inner clarity, that seeing.
Wow. What a way to wrap up this set of stories. We've gone from, quiet inner shifts missed by others to the dangers of widespread craving.
And to seeing dignity beyond appearances, the different paths to letting go.
The paradox of the magic well, and finally, finding liberation even amidst terrible loss.
Yeah, these little vignettes, each with its Udana, they really do pack a punch, don't they? Timeless wisdom about how reality works, how our minds work, how we get stuck, and how we get free. And the core message seems to be, it's not about changing the world outside necessarily, but transforming our relationship to it.
Through insight.
Through detachment, through seeing clearly.
Right. So maybe the provocative thought for you, our listener, to take away from this deep dive is something like this. Thinking about your own life. What are the floods you feel caught in? The things that seem to pull you under? Or maybe the nets, the subtle attachments or desires that feel like they have you entangled? And then how might cultivating a deeper kind of seeing, looking beyond just the surface, beyond that initial desire or judgment, maybe even valuing those quiet, unseen inner shifts, how might that change how you navigate those challenges?
Seeing beyond the snare.
Exactly. Something to mull over
Yeah.
until our next deep dive.